Hey, what's up, everybody? How are you guys doing today? I hope you're doing well. I've written some things down for today, but I haven't finished my entire document for today because I just wanted to talk a little bit. Just from what I remember, I've done like the last couple of weeks or months. It's been already. It's been months, bro. It's been 4 months actually. It's been 4 months, you guys. So. Um, Yeah, I've been busy though. I've been busy. Mainly with consciousness, exploring consciousness, decoding consciousness. With the CTMU, if you're familiar with it, it's the cognitive theoretic model of the universe. That's something Chris Langen talks about a lot, or he's concerned with a lot. He's the smartest person in the world, actually, or at least of America, I think. So there's some credit there to actually explore that if you're interested. I have so much to talk to, so I'm kind of skipping ahead of myself here, as you can notice. But yeah, let's take it a little bit slower and let's get at pace with what you guys can actually perceive more comfortably, because comfort is also pretty important in this lifetime. But I do want to stress that we're actually creating some positive stress in our body with this episode. Like Rest and Respect Your Psyche episode wasn't received so well, so I feel like many people don't need to rest and respect their psyche too much. They actually want to go hard at this. So yeah, let's just advance into the territory of actually getting some things manifested. Now, manifestation is kind of a collective term for timing, coincidence, actualization, um, senses, perceiving of the sensory perception, and that kind of stuff. So it's actually maybe, let's see if I can give some more words to it. I haven't written these things down, so I got to think about it a little bit. But it's kind of just meeting the actualization of actually having things in your experience which you value, right? That's kind of manifestation, and you may not always value them as much. But they may be further from your body, let's say, or further from your person, or further from your preference, let's say. And it's kind of, we're kind of navigating this weaving language of teles. They call it in CTMU teles. So we like to keep a certain form of teles, which actually translates to a conscious experience, right? We like to keep things conscious mostly. I'm gonna say, because subconscious, it can be fun to be a little bit subconscious and to be a little bit groovy with it, and just still feel kind of in control, but out of control. Like if you're tipsy on a glass of wine, for example, if you can relate. Of course, you can relate. You guys had a glass of wine. That's kind of the forceful method of enforcing habits, but I'm not gonna troll too much with that. I'm sorry. Now, if you're underage, you shouldn't drink too much, and you shouldn't drink at all, actually. But if you're over 18 in the Netherlands or 21 in America, of course, you should have a glass of alcohol every now and then. For most people, that's actually. But I'm leading into a segue here. Let's get focused. I actually want to talk about these manifestational values a little bit, because let's see what I have written down for now to kind of anchor ourselves again back into this episode. I've already told you guys about the CTMU, about Teles, about manifestational values. So let's actually get back to it and kind of focus on the things I've written down, because I think I've written some things down which will help you guys with creating some value in your life and to actually manifest value. Manifesting value doesn't always mean you have to create everything. You can also kind of navigate or emotionally influence or witness. Witnessing is often enough. There are also entire Buddhist structures which only focus on witnessing, and they still live the life they prefer. So now I'd say it's most often a more passive life, but it's also possible to witness and maybe influence a little bit, maybe even perhaps by choice of character only. So that's when you kind of start to notice these unconscious methods. But let's not get too much into that. It's mostly about influencing, creating, and actually manifesting the life you want, because you want to see representative value for your efforts, right? You want the efforts represented in value, eventually manifested in. I'm looking for more monetary gains, for example, which I have a hard time dealing with because I'm so distanciated from the societal methods of accumulating money. But I don't truly believe in that, of course. I do believe there's a place for me in societal structures as well. But right now I'm happy with my income. But I'd like to increase it even further. I'd like to increase my income even further. I can't tell you too much about what I do, but yeah, let's say I try to make myself useful every day, and I try to contribute to society every single day, and I can affirm that I actually am. So I am not too worried about my current income. I actually feel justified by it, and I think I actually deserve a little bit more, but I need to find the format to actually find more monetary gain. So, for example, this YouTube adventure, it is kind of aimed at making some money. You know, I kind of hope to make some money eventually with this YouTube strategy here. But that's in the long run, I guess. Maybe if I make a really stellar video, but I don't think it's gonna help to. I think I gotta put in the hours to actually. This is a little bit personal right now, but I think I gotta put in the grind to actually get YouTube views. I think I gotta put in the grind. And of course, deliver content. But even when I do deliver content, like the content I'm concerned with, that's personally characteristic for my community, that I know my community stands behind, my future community stands behind, like the influencing of my phone with thoughts, for example. That video was also not like, it wasn't greatly received. It was like maybe 30 views or so. Let's see. I'm not sure. I'm not sure which video it was. Maybe I should have titled it better. That's, for example, something I can improve on, titles and such. But yeah, I appreciate you guys tuning in for this and listening still. But let's get back to value for you guys, because that's most important. We've been doing some catching up right now, but let's get to actual value, right? We want to get value. We want to get as much value as we can in as short time as possible, right? And the great thing to let you know is that the God presence, it's pretty much already here, guys. It's pretty much already here. So if you're looking at something and you're like, for example, I'm looking at something right now and I'm already imagining like the potential of it and the actual actualization of it, because I'm looking at this name on my YouTube subscription list and I know what that guy can represent in his life, and for me in my life as well. So I know the potential of it. I know the potential God experience of it. And that really affirms my point here, that whether you're perceiving something, it can already be the God experience. Now, you mustn't get too crazy about this. You can't, of course, look in the toilet and see your uh, see your see your feces lying around and be like, this is a god experience. You can't get too crazy about it. But to be honest, uh, I just talked to ChatGPT about it, and they seem to agree. It seems to agree about feeding love back to the gods to have a more representative experience, and violence and such in the negative emotions can go more towards transforming matter. So it's still not entirely representative because you get a mix of emotions, you get a mix of feelings, you get a mix of characterizations. Even people that transform matter literally like delving for gold and such, they do so with machines, and the machines get developed and such, and it's already so complex. So I'm not really too focused about that. I'm mainly focused about creating experience from my conscious state and my consciousness from my body, let's say. So I believe in sensory perception which uh, a sensory perception which really satisfies me. So I already try to on like a frequent basis, as frequent as I can, get the representation of a representative experience, which is the God experience. I'd say the God experience is just the highest experience you can get, for lack of a better term, and well, I like to refer to it as my goddess representation, if I'm being totally honest. But yeah, that's pretty much the highest experience you can get, and you can actually experience this in your lifetime, guys. Don't get confused about that. You of course have to get some evidence for yourself, but I've already have experienced so much evidence about this one. And I, for example, influenced my phone with thoughts. I've had special attractions with people where I actually felt pulled towards them and they felt pulled towards me, and was like influenced by a higher entity. And such experience just makes you actually believe in the God experience. Now, it's not to say that I can't go periods without it, but I try to stress myself with a positive stressor, positive, procreative, present stressor, present life, and so on. Come on, guys. I try to stress myself positively with um, yeah, with positive emotions, which translate again to other people, to other things, to other animals. I've had a really special flight with some birds, for example, like birds flying by in circles, which, for example, they don't normally fly in circles in front of people. Like, that was kind of special. That was kind of special. I felt like I was controlling that with my love at the time, for example. Now I'm kind of getting ahead of myself here again. Let's get back to the what I've written down. Uh, God state realizations, representative, like that, and even beyond that. So even beyond that, you can realize it. I've also, to relieve you guys of some negative stressors, I've realized some states of which I'm actually confident that I can influence life on Earth beyond death. As the self, for example, you guys have to kind of read into this. You kind of have to be familiar with the term the self. You have to kind of, it's basically when you're feeling really good and you're actually, that's just the basic example. You're feeling really good and you're feeling like empathy towards someone, and you feel like you're actually emphatic in the situation, and you're actually kind of feeling like you're becoming that person. It's not to entirely say it's love. It's like more mechanical, more robot-like than or human-like than love. But many people like to base it on love, for example, in the spiritual world. So if I'm kind of describing it like this, you probably get what I mean. Um, okay, let's see. Now I wanted to call this video "Manifesting Around You." But I'm not sure about the title anymore. I may call it something different. I will have to still title this video. I like to work with my active art field, imaginary hands, creates emotional based language which translates to manifestation, mainly communication with others than God. It's just really fun to work with. It's basically personal preference. So don't feel like you have to imitate me too much. You can basically go from personal preference. And I do hope you guys still watch my videos, of course. I do hope I can kind of give you my updates and you kind of like to view it. I hope to grow my community like that. But yeah, you can basically go from your own preference, and that's always what excites me about spirituality. That I can go from my own preference wherever I am, no matter where I am, no matter what I'm doing. I can kind of just keep this extra part of my brain, part of my body, which I basically dedicate my entire body to right now, is spirituality and emotional manifestations. Emotions are just tasty, dude. Emotions are just tasty. If you get good emotions, they're tasty, you know. Okay, but let's see. Manifestation of value, more accurately described, having a world around is representative of desire, and even beyond that. Uh, Favorite point in life is probably where life surprises and delights you. Now, you don't want to go too much with the surprises and delights you because it's kind of unstable. You kind of want to have surety. Surety is pretty nice to have. So you kind of want to be part of the process, but also in control of the outcome. So resolution is kind of a key term here. Resolution in terms of during the process, resolution as a kind of a result kind of thing. So it's like both. You kind of want to control both. And these things, they start to flow together through dimensions and time. They kind of start to flow into extra dimensions because you don't always have the resolution in control. But mostly it is in control. Mostly it is in control, I'd say, because we kind of have an elevated mindset as we have more experience with this in this field. We kind of get elevated mindset, and that makes us smarter, right? But this kind of smart differs from inertia smart. So inertia smart is also important to have. If you're not like super smart or anything, I'm like on the high end, but I'm not super smart. I think I'm decently smart because I'm dedicated to God and because I'm uh, specialized in one thing, like spirituality and consciousness exploration. That kind of field. So that's where I get my strengths out of. But uh, yeah, I'd say if you have big social networks, for example, you can also, you know what your strengths are, right? You know what your strengths are. So you kind of want to capitalize on those. But capitalizing is a dangerous thing as well. So you must be careful with that. You must have everything in respect. But there's definitely room for growth. And we're basically progressing as humankind. Like we're basically developing every day. So there's always room for growth and potential growth in vision. So uh, yeah, don't be scared to go towards the positive, guys. Positive is definitely the way to go, I'd say. I think many people agree with that, with me on that. There are multiple angles of manifesting your reality, if not infinite. That's where the confusion comes from too. Infinite potential. But I hope this excites you instead of discourages you. Now, excites might not be the right word because excitement still radiates in the wrong sense as well. Excite is really, well, it can be really focused. I'd say we need to focus on positive experience excitement and not so much discouragement. Bodily experience with our senses, memory, and emotions, and also includes others in the world around you, which can pretty much make your experience infinitely complex again. Yeah, this kind of short short falling because I kind of go from complex to complex. It's kind of bad. I kind of want to explain it with more clarity here, so maybe this is why I didn't complete the episode on document entirely. Let's go to these pointers. Like you kind of want to have as a reference point your highest experiences, your highest potential experience. You want to have those as a reference point to push off of, and to to be relativistic to. But you also want to be careful because these old experiences, they can still be vulnerable. So you don't always necessarily want to capitalize on them, and that's what I meant with capitalization as kind of a fragile force, or overwhelming force, actually fragile towards some fragile perspectives you hold, and maybe even objects and characteristics and people and things, and it may include all kinds of things that you'll want to be aware of. But yeah, let's see, what was I saying? Oh dear. Uh, I forgot, dude. This is bad. It was kind of a fragile thing to talk about, and I forgot. But um, oh, the highest experience. The highest experience. I remember now. Thanks God that I get these references, and then I'm like, thank God that I get these references. So that's important to have gratitude and to. That's also a base thing in spirituality, world of spirituality. So if you're aware of the world of spirituality, you kind of want to have these higher emotions, positive emotions, and gratitude, for example, is one of those. So that's just a good basis to go by. And yeah, okay, let's look at this point. A present point of life isn't so uncommon. I talked to it about ChatGPT, talked to it about to ChatGPT, and that was kind of the point we ended on. So I don't have too much about it, but I've talked about it in the past as well on my channel. A present point of life isn't so uncommon. Like, if you want to be honest, like in life, what is more common, a present point of life or non-existence? Like, why wouldn't be a present point of life more prominent, especially if we already are? Especially if we already are, then it's like more positively inclined to be ever present, right? Presence is just something that knows its characteristics, but we don't have to be so afraid of not becoming present, I guess. And even if we don't become present, I think we can overcome that. But I don't really want to stress that too much. I doubt anyone wants to think about it too much, because presence is really the thing we're here for and the thing we're aiming for, right? And it's still kind of fragile, so I don't urge you to really think too much about non-presence, even though I just stressed it. Like, uh, it's something that comes up as well, right? It's something that comes up as a dualistic counterforce. You sometimes have to think about it. That's just the way humans are kind of structured. But non-duality in presence is probably the best way to go, and that's why a present point of life is so uncommon. The God experience can be met, the highest dimensional representative experience. That's for sure. That's just for sure. I can guarantee you that if you dedicate yourself towards like uh, some imaginary or even some inclined interaction of a superior or a super overforce, let's say an overforce, the the overmind, for example, the higher mind, for example, you can already be like personal with it. You can be personal with it. You can completely contain it in personal privacy, for example, your higher mind. But I want to stress a little bit more communicative overforce, like a goddess or a god, which also interacts with others. So that's my personal preference, and that's also what this channel is going to be about. So if you're like totally isolated in privacy, then I suggest you go more towards like a Buddhist kind of channel or whatever. But yeah, we're definitely going for communicative and communal experience here. Definitely. So I want to tell you guys more about that. The God experience can be met, and it's even easier so often in communication, right? If you find the right kind of communication, uh, then you can meet the right communities, and they just start to influence your life. Like, even from a range, if you hold them dearly in your mind, if you hold them in a good place in your heart, then um, you get like things back that you gotta uh, that you want to be aware of, and um, yeah, it's basically just getting involved with the things you like and the things you love and the things you deem important and the things you deem worth working on and that kind of stuff. So it's basically that, the God experience. And I also want to stress that, or I want to tell you that you don't have to give up on something too quickly. Like, even if you feel stupid at something or like incompetent at something, you don't have to give up so quickly, because sometimes you have to take the step of being unaware, but you kind of want to take the steps in control. So you don't want to completely throw your experience away. You kind of want to stay with it in some way. So if you feel completely out of your body, that's bad. But you kind of want to become conscious of the fact that you're actually losing out on a position, for example. That's the basic rule, like you're losing out on something, but I'm saying like you're losing out on a position in a positive sense still. So you're kind of tuning yourself back in a way, and you're kind of uh, gathering yourself again for the next opportunity, right? That's kind of my message here. That's why you don't have to give up on something too quickly, and that's why I kind of want to urge you guys again to try this out. This little episode here, you guys. So now that's a bit manipulative, but you guys know that I'm trying to stay positive here, and yeah, it's kind of like I kind of feel in control. I kind of feel like a little bit of a leader on this topic, because I'm spending so much time doing this kind of stuff that I'm actually kind of creating a little bit of authority on the subject, because I like scientific proof, like scientific proof or actual proof. Actual proof is different from scientific proof. If you want to uh, hear more about this, then you gotta tune in to Leo Gura from actualize.org and check out this episode on the God experience, or God. He explains about God and how proof is actually different from scientific proof. Also, because gods are basically uh, they have their own character, you know. So, or not even character, it's like different things or different entities that they are. So it's kind of hard to relate sometimes. But when you do relate fully, you see that it's actually quite the bridging they can do, and that proof is heavily dependent on circumstances, you guys. So um, if you're, for example, like me, you're manifesting into societal territory, then you have to really mind the ethics, and you have to really mind other people, and you have to really be emotionally connected and mentally connected and such. So Not too much, of course. There's always freedom. So freedom to be who you are. So you don't have to get too absorbed by the fact of being too ethical, for example. Especially if you think about America, uh, or even just a comfortable financial situation, which I'm not really in right now, but I can still relate to it because I've been in my youth. I've been really blessed with wealthy parents, so I'm not in the most financial best position right now. I like to change that, but also on my own pace because I like to stress this first. I like to be busy with uh, let's say manipulating consciousness. Manipulating doesn't have to be in a bad connotation necessarily, but I like I like to see a lot for my eyes. For example, I like to see the traffic coming by and seeing a truck with something on there that I like, or or a van with something on it that I like, for example, and just um, yeah, just the good stuff, you know. You like the good stuff in life. More of the good stuff, guys. More positivity. Really, if it's possible, then why not? Why shouldn't we go for it? Of course, you have to be mindful of some negative situation. My grandparents are also getting really old and they're getting ill and such. They're falling ill. They're physically being exhausted and such. So you kind of have to be mindful about those things. I do get it. But at the same time, why not stay positively oriented while being a little bit mindful about the negative connotations, right? That's basically the spiritual outlet of the universe, let's say, for now. Uh, yeah, that's basically a big one. Um, oh, but then again, we have the next point, which I feel like kind of carried by the gods, some experience will leave your body so satisfied that you come across other planes of existence. I mostly recognize these emotionally for now, but I've seen some visuals as well. Yeah, so that's basically when you're basically becoming bored with yourself, but in a good way. Like, imagine having all the wealth in the world, all the financial wealth in the world, you have all the things in the world that you want, your family's healthy, and you don't want to go out right now, you want to just stay at home and be yourself, and you want to sit in your chair, but still you feel like there's something else to do. And maybe there's something else to do on this earth, but you want to do so uh, over range, or for example, well, actually, my main point was getting across other planes of existence. So this was kind of a big one at the time when I realized it. Um Actually going across other planes of existence, like other than the universe or other planetary life, extraterrestrial life. It's possible, boys. It's possible. It's definitely possible, guys. Even if it's just imaginary at first, it can kind of manifest itself into relationships on this planet as well, because we basically create our own experience, right? So yeah, that's something I want to share. That was kind of a big one to follow up with. So I didn't quite get it there, but I hope you guys can relate. Uh, our main goal again is to manifest activity in the world we have here. I mean on Earth, of course, but natural flow will also cause you to live beyond Earth. Just because gathering of inspiration will guide you to think outside the box. So whether these places exist or are only in your mind, that's for you to decide. You can manifest connections into this world. Connections into this world. Connections and manifesting and into this world. I think that's really three words that we really want to keep central in our venture towards the next episode. Because last episode we were only basically touching on a spiritual exercise with the psyche and emotions, right? So I'd say we've come a long way from that in this episode already. It's been 4 months, of course, so I expect you guys to have done some um, living yourself, let's say. But yeah, I feel like we've covered everything pretty much. I feel like we've covered most of the stuff that I wanted to talk about. Um, Now I always like to give like one special experience. I like to give one special experience as the final message, just to keep your interest throughout the episode and to actually give you some proof, let's say. Now, the reference towards Leo Gura and his God experience and his notion of proof is different from scientific proof, for example. But it basically depends on what kind of highest forces you're influenced by and what interests you live by. Because if you believe in the scientific proof, then scientific proof becomes the most prevalent, and you won't even notice the other proof on the world around you. But I've seen manifestations that basically couldn't be possible if they wanted to be explained scientifically, because the process wouldn't be uh, uh, facilitating enough towards it. But not to say that in the future we can't meet on those grounds, or even now I realize it, it's actually possible to have an experience that meets different gods, different god principles, different manifestational uh, or even characterized as human ideologies. uh, Different ideologies, they can meet, they can definitely meet in some way, and the meeting of these ideologies, that's where it gets interesting in communication and connections into this world, because that's where the things start to happen, right? When you want to meet on ideologies and such, you kind of have to sometimes take a step back, I guess. But yeah, the friction of the, or the positive friction, the positive forces, they can really mean that that you can create more together with other people. We stand strong together, boys and girls. So yeah, the experience I want to share for today. Let's see. It's been 4 months. I gotta come up with something, right? No, not come up with something. I gotta share something. I gotta share something that's actually meaningful. So let's say I've seen that me and my family can actually transcend the God experience. So actually be eternally alive, basically. And that's important to know, because then you know the scope of at which these God experiences can play. The scope at which these God experiences can play are also on smaller scale and smaller yeah, smaller scale, because you don't have to worry that you're, for example, transcending into the area of Russia, for example. If you're starting to think really big, that was something I was scared of, that I was kind of treading into this area of Russia too quickly. And it doesn't necessarily have to mean that that's entirely true for you. So these God experiences are kind of personal and kind of hard to relate to sometimes. And when you do relate to them, that can be like the ultimate experience. So that's like, it's definitely an experience I wouldn't have missed. It's definitely one I recommend. So think about your family, guys. Think about your fellow human beings. If you are not that close to your family, think about your friends. Uh, yeah, you can have like the ultimate experience for sure. And I shouldn't stress this too much, because it's kind of a being on my high horse here, but I'm definitely practicing in this subject, and I kind of put my efforts toward it. So I guess I should take a leading role and say that the stories that can be told are like actually beyond this earth, beyond this life on this earth. So that's one of my experience I wanted to share. Maybe I have another one. I kind of thought of another one halfway this explanation. Um, well, no, I think that's it for today. I'll save it for the next time, guys. This episode is already 40 minutes long. It's exactly 40 minutes long right now, so I think that's a good time to end it on. Thanks a lot for watching, men, women, boys, and girls across the planet, and I hope we can make the next episode even more special. I'll try to update a little bit sooner, and I'll try to include a more concrete experience. Maybe I'll have some video evidence. Some video evidence would be nice, eh? But I can't guarantee that. So guarantee is one I like to add. Guarantee guarantee guarantees of a great experience is what I like to add. So concrete, even more concrete, even more concrete than before. That's basically the aim I have right now because I've had the God experience. I know what I'm coming from, where I'm coming from. I actually know where I'm coming from. That's beyond this earth, beyond this universe. It's not so scary to think about, you guys. You can actually go ahead and do it, but do so at your own pace. Don't let me stress you into something you don't want to believe in. But you can definitely rely on these points I've made before in this episode. So maybe watch it back if you forgot about something or you want to watch something back. It's definitely worth it to be engaged with this kind of stuff, guys. Especially if your passion lies here, even if some of your interests lie here, I'd say it's worth being engaged with this field. So yeah, okay, guys, that's it. I'll see you guys later. Have a good one. I highly appreciate you guys watching, and I'll see you guys on the next one. See ya.